Welcome back into the Sports Zone here on Power 90.5, Cullowhee's Classic Rock Station. I am your host, Andrew. Standing alongside me, as always, is the second most beautiful man in radio, Hunter McClintock.
Well, I don't know to take that as a compliment or an insult there, Andrew.
Well, you know, we're tied for second.
Oh, we're tied for second.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's first?
I don't know. We haven't met him yet.
All right.
We haven't had him on. When he comes on, we'll be sure to talk to him and ask how he does it.
Well, as you know, and if you tuned in on Friday, you know that we've been talking about the NBA playoffs.
And it's really, it's the thing.
It's the thing right now.
NBA playoffs is a whole nother half season of the NBA on its own.
It really is. I mean, it takes 3 months to do it.
Yeah, and which is getting to be a little crazy.
It really is.
In my opinion. I think either shorten the series to 3 or 5 games early on or limit the number of teams. But that's neither here nor there. So let's get to the games from this past weekend.
All right.
Starting with the Toronto Raptors defeating the Milwaukee Bucks 87-76. That series tied at 2-2. The Washington Wizards fell to the Atlanta Hawks 116-98. That series is at 2-1. The San Antonio Spurs fell to the Memphis Grizzlies in overtime 110-108. Series is now at 2-2. Now remember, back in 2011 as the 8th seed, the Memphis Grizzlies defeated the Spurs 4-2. The Spurs are the 2nd seed now.
Yes.
Grizzlies are the 7th seed. So we could be seeing a repeat of not so ancient history going on between those two teams. Mike Conley has 37 points in the 2 losses that the Grizzlies have suffered against the Spurs. He has 59 points in the 2 wins that the Grizzlies have. So he has 22 more points when they win in the 2 wins than in the 2 losses. So the Spurs have to find a way to neutralize Mike Conley. And how much of a chance do you give the Grizzlies in a series against the Spurs? You know, the Spurs have Aldridge, Gasol, Kawhi, who's an MVP candidate. And, you know, the Grizzlies, they signed Mike Conley to the largest contract in the last offseason. Yep. Do you think that there's a chance? I mean, obviously there is a chance, but how real of a chance do you give them?
I mean, there's always a chance. I mean, it is tied at 2-2, so I mean,
anything can happen from this point out.
So I mean, it's hard to say if I give them a chance or not. Obviously, they've played hard enough to put them in a position to win the series, which is what you want to do.
Very true. And
but Game 5 is going to be in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Tough crowd to play in front of. San Antonio is a good team on the road. They're a good team at home.
Both of these games outside of the overtime game haven't been incredibly close.
They really haven't. I mean, San Antonio won the first game 111-82. They took the second game by a score of 96-82. And then Memphis came back in Game 3, won 105-94. And then again,
the overtime game
on Saturday, which ended in a 110-108 Memphis victory. So,
I mean, I don't know. There's something there. It's whoever gets the upper hand early.
Yeah,
is how it seems. But we have seen some incredible comebacks from multiple teams in playoff games so far. In just in the first round series, the Golden State Warriors came back to defeat the Trailblazers 119-113, put the Warriors up 3-0, and that was without Kevin Durant. That was without Steve Kerr on the sideline.
Yeah, but we've really seen what the Warriors can do without Steve Kerr. Kerr has missed multiple games before. This is the first season they've had with KD. So obviously we've seen what they can do without KD. We've seen what they can do without Kerr on the sidelines.
Is that worrisome though, that they're so okay without Kevin Durant? They don't really need him. Is that worrisome to them that when he is playing, that he could take something away from somebody who's hot, even if he's kind of not that game? Is there just too many superstars now with that team? Because I was fine with Kevin Durant going to Golden State. Okay. That's his choice. That's fine. But when they are so good without him, or they're not losing games without him, is he unnecessary? Because it feels like he's expendable in his role with the Warriors. You can't get rid of Draymond.
No.
He's their most physical player.
Yep.
Klay Thompson can get hotter than anyone.
Yep. arguably the best shooter on that team.
And Steph Curry's just the leader.
Yeah.
No matter what, he's the indoctrined leader into that team. So where does Kevin Durant come in?
I don't think he's expandable. I feel like they did pick him up for a reason. I think they were planning on meeting Cleveland again in the finals. And after seeing what a healthy Cleveland team could do, they might have got a little worried and wanted to go out and pick up another big name to go out and help them in case that did happen. But it's looking like right now they're playing like the Warriors team of 2 years ago. They're playing like the Warriors team of last year, even though they did fall behind to Cleveland and lose in the finals. Still a good team. But I mean, it's tough to say because they're playing so well, even without their coach on the sideline.
Well, it's not like Mike Brown.
True.
It's some scrub, and it's not like Luke Walton was the sole unquestioned coach of that team. He had some stuff.
Yeah.
Preparation from Kerr going into it. But you mentioned Cleveland. They swept their series with the Pacers 106-102. They took it in 4 games. They did pick up Durant to meet Cleveland in the finals. But remember, they were winning that series 3-1.
They were.
Curry was at 80%.
Yep.
Then Iguodala got hurt. Yep. Then Bogut got hurt. Then Draymond was suspended for Game 5. Then all this happened. It wasn't as if they just collapsed out of the blue. Yeah. Like Oklahoma City did in the Western Conference Finals.
True.
This team, they got hurt.
True, and they did have a chance in Game 7 to actually win it in Golden State.
If Iguodala's not hurt, he most likely makes the layup that LeBron blocks. Yeah. So, and you can say the same thing about the 2014, 2015 Cavaliers in the finals. They were hurt. Yeah. So neither of these teams have been at their best when they enter the finals.
What a series that would be if they were both healthy.
And especially with Kevin Durant now roaming the sideline. But yeah, I don't think Kevin Durant is expendable, but somehow it just feels like not everyone is not being used to their fullest potential. Some other games from this past weekend, the Rockets defeated the Thunder 113-109. Houston now leads 3-1 in that series. The Celtics came back against the Bulls. They have now tied the series at 2-2. We're down 0-2 early in the series. Al Horford had a double-double with 15 points, 12 rebounds. Isaiah Thomas, playing in the first round series after the loss of his little sister, had 33 points and 7 assists. And then late last night, what a resurgence in Utah for Joe Johnson. He led the Jazz to a 105-98 victory over the Clippers. That series is now tied at 2 apiece. And right before we go to break, Hunter, what do you think of the emergence of Joe Johnson? He was sort of a star when he played with the Hawks, went to the Nets. That seems like where people's careers go to die.
Yeah.
The Cleveland of basketball. And then now he's in Utah, coming off the bench most games and leading the team with veteran leadership. And especially if Utah wins this series, what do the Clippers do? Because they're consistently the 3rd to 5th seed in the Western Conference, but it's not working. Blake Griffin's a free agent. Do they have to blow this team up if they don't get out of the first round?
Listen, they're kind of like how Gonzaga used to be. Going back, referring to when Gonzaga would always be 1, 2, 3 seed, and they could never advance far in the tournament. This is just like this Clippers team. They're a good team. I mean, they've got Redick, they've got Chris Paul, they've got Paul Pierce still, I believe, don't they?
Yes, he comes off the bench.
They've got Blake Griffin. It's not like they're lacking in players. I don't think you necessarily blow it up. You might go out there and try and get a missing link, maybe, into this puzzle. But anyway, with Joe Johnson, this isn't the first time we've seen this. A lot of times, I mean, Vince Carter I wouldn't say he has a resurgence in his career, but I mean, he's playing well in Memphis. I think sometimes
we see old veteran players.
Yeah. Thank you. I couldn't get my words.
Start to come back in the playoffs. I believe it was Jason Terry with the Mavericks.
He did it
against the Heat. He really came on, and while he wasn't an old player, JJ Barea really showed his stuff against the Heat and Mavericks series so long ago when the Big Three was in Miami. I disagree. I think the Clippers have to blow this team up. It's not working. Maybe Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, but Blake Griffin gets hurt a lot. He's a distraction.
Well, I mean, but DeAndre Jordan's, he's like a liability at the free throw line too.
Kind of, but he went 5.
Kind of.
He went 5 for 6 the other night from the 3-point.
Okay, that's one night.
But it's not that big of a deal. It's not a big deal. If he can hit his shots in the paint, he doesn't need to hit his free throws. That's fine. The thing is, Blake Griffin's a liability. I don't know why they signed Austin Rivers to the contract he signed, other than the obvious, he's Doc's son, whatever.
The coach.
JJ Redick, he's good at one thing, and that's really it. Well, so something has to change. They don't have a small forward. They don't have a forward that can shoot. They just have a forward they don't have a forward that can spread it from the outside. And that's really one of their problems, is they can't shoot from out there other than Chris Paul.
Yep.
So I feel like the Clippers have to blow this team up. It's not working. Something else has to change. They have to go get a different piece, because right now, I don't think it's working with the big three of Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. But we're going to take a quick break here on the Sports Zone, Power 90.5, Cullowhee's Classic Rock Station. We will be right back after this.